Hey guys, Weston here with Defensive Concepts Training.
And as well.
We're back with Dry Fire 101. We're going to break it down to the real basic, the draw.
Draw, the scariest part.
The most important part, the draw, grip, and index. And while there would be an argument to be made for them to be separate, I think they're all one together.
It's all one, yep.
And you can break them apart, and there's a lot of different variations of how you can train this, right? You can train just the draw, just getting your hand to the gun first, feeding retention if there's any, breaking it out right. You can break it down into the 5-step draw, which I don't like it.
I know you and I, we've talked about it.
I had the epiphany. I just took a class with Jan Lee. He's a grandmaster in like 5 different divisions, really skilled shooter. And I was just thinking, like, your top shooters, they're not like using the 5-step draw. They can stop at any point in the draw and do anything from any point inside the draw, but they're not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever.
It's the robot, and you see it in law enforcement the most, but then you see it in a lot of these other, like, not to be kind of rude for lack of a better term, but in lower level classes, very beginner level classes, you see the robotic movement. When I was going through post, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And you see it in the draws. It's like this weird mechanically robot thing, and you wonder why you can't find the dot or find your sights cleanly. And then you wonder why the robots, when they walk or move or shoot, and it's just... It needs to be fluid. It's one, yes, there are steps in between to understand what's going on in between. You got to defeat the retention. You got to get the good high grip. Got to defeat retention like mine. Clear the gun. Once it's cleared, gun's turning, I'm catching, but from here on, I've established my grip and I can shoot. And it's fluid up to my eye.
Kind of talking about our video we posted and talked about a little bit ago, kind of like evolving past certain, I forget what the title of that video was, but we're talking about moving past certain
evolution through
training. Yeah. That's one of those things that's good. I think it makes sense at the absolute base level.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, it's a very complex process getting the handgun out. If you're not used to it, if you don't like guns, you're scared of them, you've never used them before, it's a complex, difficult process.
But it's also very simple.
It's very simple. It's 100% simple, but as an absolute beginner, I can see the advantage of it. But then the problem is, especially in law enforcement, is they never grow past that beginner level. So for that first little bit, sure, break it all down. But then after your first little bit, when I'm training for competition, I'm not worried about like my speed, about like all the different levels. I'm just worried about speed, right? And how I can get that pistol out.
But I think that if you were teaching, you want to teach the correct way anyway.
Yes.
Versus the steps. It's like, yes, grip is good, defeat the retention, get the gun out, but teach the whole thing as one movement as opposed to breaking it down into several. Now, there are drills that you can talk about with the draw where, we're shooting from here as we're presenting out. That's part of that drill. But that's after you've gotten comfortable getting the gun rotated and up underneath your eye line.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of go talk about the draw, because the draw, grip, and index are all things. And what I mean by, draw obviously is getting the pistol out of the holster.
Yep.
That's the draw. Grip is how my hands are getting on that pistol, how I am interfacing with the pistol. And index is how I'm pointing that pistol to what I want to shoot at, right? So how I'm getting it on my target I choose to use.
Yep. Okay.
So breaking down the draw. We kind of talked about I would say the fallacy of the 5-step draw, so we're not going to go over that. What we're going to go over though now is the draw and the grip. How this is going to work is I'm going to set a stimulus for myself. When I dry fire practice, I just have a little shot timer that goes beep. So I react to that stimulus. I'm going to go up. I'm going to get my hand on that pistol. I'm going to get my hand high up in here, high on the tang of the pistol, keeping this side of the pistol open, because I'm a right-handed shooter. So I'm going to get the hand up in there. What I'm going to do with my left hand is I'm going to move my left hand and my right hand together. You guys can see, and I'm going to wrap them around each other like that. So it'll look like this. And that is how I establish grip. There's a whole lot of different ways they talk about grip of, oh, you should do 60% with your weak hand, or sorry, 60% with your support hand, 40% with your strong hand. I don't like numbers because everyone's numbers are different. Like I don't know what 100% is for someone else. So I just go stronger with my support hand and just a little bit lighter, a little bit looser with my firing hand. Go up, and then my hands meet up over here, and I'm gonna push out. And towards the end of my push out over here, I'm looking at the target and I'm getting the dot to appear. Now that's the index, and that is the hardest part, I would say, to actually learn to do correctly, is the index. This little in, getting the dot to end right where you want it to be. That for me on this particular target I'm using would be the high center chest. So again, I'm gonna grab a high firm grip with my firing hand. My support hand is gonna meet up underneath it on the open side. I'm gonna push out. And I'm going to get that dot in the high center chest. Now, you can or you can't, it's up to you, press the trigger. A lot of high-level guys like Joe Park and Ben Stoger and Steve Anderson are saying don't press the trigger every time because this isn't necessary. This isn't a firing drill. What you're just working on is the actual mechanics of it. What you do is at the end of it, you're going to judge yourself. Hey, that index, that dot went right where I wanted it to be, or hey, that dot was off somehow. And if it's off, you figure out why it was off. So I come out here, oh hey, that dot was low. I angled my hands too low. So I'll correct it. And then for the next one, I'll make sure I get the dot right where it wants it. And that's from the open top holster. That's how you're going to dry fire the grip, the draw of the grip and the index. We're going to move on to the, what is it?
Active retention.
Active retention, there we go.
All right. So we're going to be going over the active retention holder. So this could be a level 3 or a level 2. I know Safariland has different levels for each one, and it doesn't make sense. Any type of active retention, whether it's the ALS knob, and for me, I consider level 3 is when you have the hood. I'm also left-handed, so this might help out some left-handed people as well. So for me to deactivate it, I have practice on kind of having a sweeping motion, having a good practice coming in high up on the gun, getting my thumb and the web of my finger, or between my thumb and my index finger here up high, where I'm naturally going to grip it anyway. While I'm doing that, my thumb is going to push down right here and push it forward. That's establishing a good high grip on the gun. My 3 fingers here are now going to wrap around the gun, and I have an index here on my holster. It kind of sucks because it rubs quite a bit, and I'll actually rub my finger raw if I'm having a long day on the range. But I like that index because I feel that, and I know I've got a good high grip on the gun. My 3 fingers wrap around. My thumb is also naturally landing on that ALS right here. So I'm coming in, boom, got all my indexes. I'm defeating the ALS. While I'm defeating the ALS, what do we do with this hand? We generally want to keep it away and kind of close to the body. So I'm drawing out, pulling up while having forward force at the same time. What that does is once this gun pops out of the holster, it's already rotating for me. I'm using inertia coming forward. Now where do I catch this? Okay. So you can see I've got that good high grip. A little bit of chunkiness of my hand is coming up over the tang and the beaver tail. And I'm leaving this spot empty. This nice L that I can utilize and put pressure on the gun. Just like so. Right here. Okay. Now where I like to catch it is kind of naturally relaxed where I like to clap, about right here. It's natural for me. Gun comes up. I'm knifing my hand into here. And I like to rotate my hand a little bit more like this. I've got bigger hands. This grip is okay, but I like to knife my hands a little bit more. And what that allows me to do with this L is wedge into this. And I've got a good, nice vise. I've got it underneath my eye line, and I'm presenting out. Just like that. So again, up high, defeat that ALS, or not the ALS, the hood. Defeat the ALS, good positive pressure. Gun comes out. It's right underneath my eye line. So now I'm knifing, coming up, nice and smooth. And my dot is lining up high center chest. Nice, smooth, and relaxed. Reverse it, coming back into the holster. Again, nice, knife the hand, grip, press out. Again, hood, ALS, rotate, knife, press out. Kind of speed it up here. Nice and relaxed. Notice I'm not being jerky with it. Notice I'm not trying to punch out and be too crazy. I'm just nice and relaxed, nice and smooth through the whole process. Everything's lining up nice. That's how I like to defeat the active retention system.
All right, so that was two different drawing styles, very similar. Our way that we actually draw pistols is very similar. There are some slight differences in the presentation towards the end. But realistically, all the major points are the same. He said something in his where he was very relaxed, and that's something I forgot to key up in mine is when you're doing it, your shoulders need to be relaxed,
Yes.
right? So relax the shoulders. For those of us who shoot Glock, you can also kind of roll your shoulder forward a little bit. Keep it relaxed because your shoulder's going to have to get up into this position anyways to draw, as opposed to just being completely down.
Just because the angle of the tank.
Angle of the tank. So if you kind of preload it, so when I'll go shoot competitions, I'll kind of roll my shoulder forward. I'll still keep the back relaxed and the top relaxed. I'll just kind of roll it forward, and that just lets me get my grip squared away very quickly. And that's pretty much it, the draw. There's so many different things you can do with it. You can press the trigger at the end if the trigger press is important. I don't really do that on the shot timer as much anymore because then it tends to make me want to press the trigger too fast, and I'll just I'll just throw a shot out there like a hoper. So what we call it like at the range is if you're shooting really fast, it's the hoper. You're hoping it hits.
Side alignment's not
side alignment
there.
So if I'm working speed, I'll just sit there and I won't press the trigger. Sometimes after the beep, I'll have the part timer set up. It'll go beep. I'll draw. It'll beep, and then I'll press the trigger just to get that feeling in, but not always.
Yep. I kind of like having like a 1 second par-ish. For the timer to go off again. And I do the same thing. A lot of my draws, I keep my finger index on the side. I don't even present out. One, I don't really necessarily want to have a bad habit because in our line of work, there's many times where we'll present out and challenge somebody or be in a position kind of like this, whether we're behind a door or we're at our car challenging somebody from a vehicle. And that's not necessarily somewhere where I want to have the slack out of my trigger. So I do spend the time to keep my finger indexed on the side, which translates to the range, translates to a lot of other things. But if I'm in a position mentally where it's like, I'm drawing to shoot no matter what, I will practice from here, compressed, out and have to the wall, to the wall, to the wall. Once I get those reps done, then I'll kind of have that 1 second par time to where I'm not trying to beat the 1 second because for me, I can do... I just recently had a 0.79 draw. It was fast, and I was at 5. It was it was a C-zone hit, fast. Feel pretty good about that.
Open top or from retention?
From retention. It was with the hood down. Just defeating the ALS. It wasn't with the hood up. With the hood up.
That's a pretty good time. Anything below a second's good.
Yeah. With the hood up, my best is like 111 at this point. I haven't quite got underneath 1 second yet. But the point I was getting at, I like setting that 1 second par timer, not to beat, but to mentally hear the beat to draw the gun out. And once I present it and then I hear the beat, I'm pressing the trigger at that point. So that way I kind of know what 1 second is. I have a stimulus to draw, stimulus to pull the trigger. And by that 1 second time is when I should have the good sight picture. And if I don't, and I hear the stimulus, I'm not rushing it to pull it off. I didn't get it that time. Okay, cool. Reset. Do it again.
So I've done a little bit different. When it comes to my competition stuff, I set the par timer for 0.6 seconds.
Well, yeah,
because it's fast.
It is
and
fast,
my best recorded time was a 0.84 from about 5 yards at an A-zone hit at a classifier, and I wouldn't want to risk anything less than an A-zone hit for that particular
like I said,
one.
0.79 and I'll C-zone.
And that's but that's really fast, right? And in that realm, but that's one of those different philosophies, right? You have two different. You just heard us talk about our different philosophies with dry fire. You can train different things using the same stuff.
Yep.
So I train primarily to get the pistol out fast, and so I set spicy par times.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly driving those down because my goal is to get the pistol out as quickly as possible. And if it's too fast, I'll keep working at it for a little bit. And I should be able to break it.
Yeah. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't ever try to beat the 1 second. Obviously I do.
Yeah.
But for good consistency, I try to keep it around that 1 second, so that way I don't develop bad habits of and getting the gun
Yes.
out and not presenting correctly
Yes.
and getting used to shooting without a good sight picture.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to defeat. He's spent thousands of hours on pistols. I have not. So I'm still kind of starting to learn more than just doggy paddling at this point.
When it comes to training, this brings up an interesting just training philosophy point, I think, in general, to where for a long time, especially in law enforcement, it was unacceptable to miss a target or anything, or you had to get faster while maintaining your accuracy. And we've talked about my philosophy on that, why I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, you chewed my butt at the range.
And and I'll do it again. And my philosophy is I am willing to sacrifice when I'm training, trying to do something I've never done before, which is go faster, right? If I've never drawn a pistol in 0.6 seconds, right? I don't know what that feels like. So I'm willing to miss it a few times. And then once I figure it out, once I'm there, I'm like, oh, that's what it feels like. As long as you know what good feels like, so you set that really good baseline, hey, this is what good feels like. I'm going to do it faster. You're going to miss a few draws. You're going to stress out. You're going to miss especially in those holsters, you're going to miss the strap. You're going to miss the ALS. And then what's going to happen is eventually if you keep training it fast enough, you'll be able to do it most of the time. And that's kind of one of those philosophies of training is I'm just constantly trying to push the speed or push the accuracy depending on what I'm training. Anything else to add about draws, grips, and indexes?
No, I think that just one caveat. I mean, we've touched on it. Just be relaxed while doing this. This is where we're building those foundational skills and having the muscle memory, so that way when we get in those stressful situations, we can perform.
Yes.
And if we're performing sloppy and dry fire, how much more sloppy are we going to be once we're actually doing live action type stuff?
Yeah.
And don't worry about seeing dudes on Instagram, see dudes on YouTube, or even this guy here just blazing the target down, getting super fast. Go at your own pace first, comfortably, where everything lines up, sight picture is good, everything is there, then send it. Once you get that good speed and rhythm down, then start pushing it. Because at that point, you've got your foundation. Then we can start building on it.
The way I would say it is shoot your own sport. So shoot what you're capable of doing. I go back to this competition today where there'll be a video up sometime. There was 2 spinners with no shoots, and so you couldn't actually hit both sides to spin them over. You could only hit the bottom or the top.
Yeah.
I am skilled enough to transition between 2 of them.
I am not.
There was a newer, she's been shooting a while, and she was like, she saw me do that, and I just looked her dead in the eyes, and I'm like, if I were you, hit one, then the other.
Yeah.
And she was like, that makes sense. Or there's another one where the target was pretty far away, and I looked at, there's another shooter, and I was like, I know I can make that shot. Do you know you can make that shot? They're like, no. I'm like, then run to the target, the spot to make that shot.
Yeah.
And just know your skill, but that's what dry fire lets you do. It lets you learn your skill and lets you know what you're capable of.
Yep.
I think that's everything for this edition of Dry Fire 101. So with that, put in the work.
Put in the work, guys.